What's up, everyone, and welcome to $30 Vintage MTG. On this channel, we brew, test, talk about, and even play $30 budget vintage decks. What that means is we're using the vintage banned and restricted list, but everything in your deck and sideboard, this is a 60 card by the way, has to cost less than $30 total using TCG Player low pricing. So that's what we do, that's what we're about, and I'm just going to take a second and tell you why I actually love the format. To me, it feels like a brewer's paradise. This is something we started doing, 6 months ago or so, and it's just been so fun to explore all the cards throughout history and feel like you have so few restrictions on deck building. It feels like there's so many different things you can do, from kind of ported over or pared down versions of other decks, like you can play Blue-Red Delver, you just don't get Force of Will. Or you can play Cascading Rhinos, like the modern deck. So you can kind of port other things over, or you can just build completely crazy stuff that doesn't work in other formats. One of my favorite decks is a mono-white Oketra's Monument deck playing Force of Virtue and Squadron Hawk. That's a strategy that really hasn't been good enough in Modern. I think I've seen it in like a Chalice deck in Legacy, but neither here nor there. I've got a buddy who's really having a good time working on an Assemble the Legions red-white control deck. There's combos like Cephalid Breakfast, Glimpse of Tomorrow combo, Dredge. It kind of just covers it all, and it's all been a lot of fun. And the added bonus, a new deck is just $30 away. To me, this format kind of feels like 60-card casual in that you can build whatever deck you want. Truly whatever deck you want. And play it with your friends. It's not multiplayer, which honestly I think is kind of great. I played a lot of EDH. I'm kind of taking a breather from that for a while. So this feels like, just choosing 60 fun cards that you like, a cool strategy, and playing some games with your friends. We host little tournaments and play some at a local game store, so we're competitively minded and we're looking to figure out what the best deck in the format is, or the best decks. But right now there's not really a solidified meta, so that's kind of what we're working on. And that kind of segues into my next topic, and that's the bracket. So here's what we're going to do for our first season, as I'm going to call it. We're going to have 7 episodes. I lied. We've got 8 decks, though. And each episode, we're going to have a little deck tech on each of the decks. And then we're going to play one match, single elimination, and we're going to go until one of the 8 decks wins this tournament. And then who knows, maybe we'll branch out and kind of dive into certain archetypes or certain decks across the board, or we might do another 8-deck matchup. We'll just see how things feel, but right now I really just want to introduce you to some of the decks in the format and kind of start showing you why I like it so much. So with that in mind, I think it's time to step into a deck. Alright, let's go check out Blue-White Ensoul artifacts. Alright guys, so this is the first deck tech that we're putting up, and it's going to be for Ensoul Artifact. This is honestly just a fan favorite deck in every format that it's an option in, I think everyone kind of likes the big pair of scissors. Everyone likes, base power and toughness 5/5. I think it's a lot of fun on a card. So this is an artifact heavy deck. It's definitely aggressive leaning, and it's built around Ensoul Artifact. Basically, we're looking to slap that onto, ideally, an indestructible land. Like we have 4 Razortide Bridges and 4 Citadels. We're failing that. We've got some really interesting aggressive and evasive creatures. Ornithopter has flying. Stonecoil has trample and pro multicolored, which does come up. And Gingerroot is secretly not actually blockable ever, as long as you pay the 1. So we're looking to slap an Ensoul onto one of those. We also have some redundancy in our 2 copies of the Black Staff of Waterdeep. Very similar card. You're becoming base 4/4 instead of 5/5, but still plays nicely with all of those threats. Lands are still indestructible. Nifty little trick with Stonecoil Serpent. It is getting +1/+1 counters, so when you set the base power and toughness to 4 or 5, you're going to actually add your counters on. So Stonecoil Serpent wears this really, really well. We are also playing Ingenious Smith and Patchwork Automaton. They're both pretty cool 2-drops that continue growing every turn. Patchwork a little bit faster, and it's a little bit harder to interact with, but Ingenious Smith is also card advantage. It's a cantrip. I will say one of the coolest things about Ingenious Smith is that sometimes you keep a 2-land hand and it finds you an artifact land on the top 4. Kind of nice that your 2-drop gets to find lands for you. At 2, we're also playing a couple Glass Caskets. It's artifact, it's removal. Portable Hole's probably the better card, but that card's shockingly expensive. Thanks, Pioneer. And while I am talking price, I know a couple of you are going to point out that we're currently sitting at $30.44, and this is $30 budget vintage, so I'll explain. Prices fluctuate. Anytime we have a tournament, we set a date that you lock in the deck by, and you take a screenshot and submit it, and that's when it's approved. In this case, we took the screenshot for the deck tech a couple days ago. We actually played the matches yesterday, so I'm not too worried about typical fluctuation. If I was looking at this, the night before I was registering it for a tournament, I would definitely look at swapping some numbers around to make some extra budget, like maybe trim some of the sideboard cards. Maybe I don't need 44 cents worth of Nihil Spell Bombs or Metallic Rebukes, or maybe I swap one more Ingenious Smith in and one Patchwork Automaton out. Those are just little things that you have to do to stay in budget sometimes. I think the only card I haven't really mentioned yet, Ghost Fireblade just plays well with the creatures that are colorless and that we want to pump up a little bit. Springleaf Drum, it's an artifact. It also makes you go fast. I like to think of it as a fair Mox Opal. And we also have Machiko's Reign of Truth. This card's actually terrifying. So for 2 mana, you get 2, quite frankly, massive pump spells. Sometimes you're giving a creature +8 or something crazy. And then when it's ready to flip, you get another big, beefy creature. So really, every mode of this is awesome. You don't want it to be the first 2-drop that you play, generally, but any turn after that, it's going to be pretty good. As far as sideboard, I don't think I mentioned yet, we are a Luris of the Dream Den deck. He seems to not be allowed in many other formats, so luckily he's $2 and we get to play him. We're playing Metallic Rebukes for when we need protection or we need to interact with someone's combo. Nihil Spellbomb for graveyard-based combo and just graveyard in general. Blacksmith Skill, protection for removal heavy decks. Dispatch more interaction for creatures, and Lens Flare as well. Overall, this is a really fun, really proactive deck. You get to play Luris, which is incredibly fun. You're low to the ground, but you get to grind really, really well, and your threats are kind of goofy, but also just really, really powerful. So stick around for the games, and you'll see what running with scissors looks like for us. Alright guys, and continuing on with our artifact-based deck text today, we're going to be looking at blue-black Thopter Sword combo. So I'm sure this is something that you guys are pretty familiar with. It's just a pretty cool combo that shows up in a lot of places. We've got 2 Sword of the Meeks, which whenever you make a 1/1 creature, you can return from the graveyard, and we have 4 Thopter Foundries. You sacrifice a non-token artifact, you make a Thopter, gain a life. This obviously triggers Sword of the Meek if it's in your graveyard, so you can keep feeding the Sword of the Meek to the Thopter Foundry. 1 mana nets you 1 Thopter and 1 life, which is a pretty incredible deal. There's not a lot of board states that you can't come back from when you're getting to spend your mana to that degree of efficiency. The Thopter's chump block, they kill your opponent, the life on top keeps you from dying. Just really, really good. So if you can put that combo together, you're going to do well in a game, probably. This deck actually takes it one step further. You can see we're kind of investing our budget in the Sword of the Meeks. Thopter Foundry is pretty free, but we're also putting $7, which is a pretty crazy amount of money in this format. $30 is the limit after all. We're putting $7 into Time Sieve. Unfortunately, some commander cards like Tivit, the Esper Food deck in Modern kind of made this tick up in price a little bit after my friend made this list. But he managed to trim some things down and make Time Sieve still fit. You only really need the 1 copy because we are playing 3 Tribute Mages, which help us search out our different pieces. 4 Thopter Foundries, you don't tutor it that often. Usually you find yourself tutoring Sword of the Meek, and you tutor Time Sieve and you slam the door. Because once you have Thopter Foundry combo plus Time Sieve in play, 5 mana means 5 Thopters, 5 life, and 5 Thopters means take an extra turn. So eventually you're going positive on your Thopters per turn because you have more than 5 mana per turn, and you just take all the turns and kill your opponents with Thopters. It's incredible. So that's what the deck wants to do. Let's talk about how we get there. I mentioned that Tribute Mage is going to tutor for any piece of our combo. It's a little clunky as a 3-mana 2/2, but we don't really have that good of artifact tutors. We're not necessarily playing Fabricates or Inventor's Fair, things like that. So Tribute Mage gets the job done. We're playing 4 Metallic Rebukes. We just need to interact a little bit, slow down the game some. 4 Ichor Wellsprings, just a nice sludgy card. We can tap it for Metallic Rebuke. We can sack it to Thopter Foundry if we don't have our sword. And then we just keep on moving, keep on churning, get some Thopters. Pentad Prism. I wasn't actually sold on this card at first, but my buddy Andrew has convinced me of it. You play it early, and it sits around being an artifact. You can spend the mana when you need to for a Metallic Rebuke or something, and eventually you're left with just an empty Prism sitting in play, and eventually you can sack it to your Thopter Foundry. And it's actually really important to have non-token artifacts that just sit around, because this deck, even though it goes through the graveyard, right, Sword of the Meek hits the bin and comes back, man, it is really, really hard to nab the Sword of the Meek with a graveyard hate spell. Because if you crack a Nihil Spellbomb or something, the Thopter Foundry player can just put an additional activation on the stack, get a new 1/1, and pull the Sword of the Meek out of the graveyard before your effect actually exiles it. So as long as you have some mana up and some non-token artifacts like Ichor Wellsprings and Pentad Prism sitting around, this deck's really not actually soft to Graveyard Hate, which is terrifying because you would think that Graveyard Hate would be good. Now, Static Graveyard Hate will get it. There is some of that in this format. Rest in Peace is a little bit too expensive. Wheel of Sun and Moon is about $2.70 last time I checked. You can play that sometimes. There is the 2-mana Rock Weathered Runestone, I think, from Kaldheim. It stops basically anything from being cheated into play. I don't think things can interplay from the graveyard or the library. So if that's the direction you go with your Graveyard Hate, you can actually catch the Sword of the Meek there. Some folks I know are opting to play kind of Pithing Needle effects like Sorcerer's Spyglass to interact with Thopter Foundry. But overall, I found this combo really hard to interact with. Going to the rest of the deck, for Nihil Spellbomb, again, like Ichor Wellspring, it's just a cheap little cantrip and artifact. It's also got the upside that if you're mainboarding for Nihil Spellbomb, it's pretty hard to lose to Dredge or Reanimator or Cephaloid Breakfast. Just being a black deck that cares about artifacts and getting to mainboard it is a huge advantage. 3 opt, it's cheap cantrip. It would be considered, but consider costs actually pretty significant amounts of money. We do get to play a Sol Ring, a little bit of a money investment there. This is where you guys will notice this is the Vintage, Banned, and Restricted list. This is $30 Vintage after all. So you can see one of Sol Ring. You can see one of Tinker sometimes. Perhaps this deck should be playing it. I know it's been in and out, but right now I think to fit the time sieve, we're not on the Tinker plan. But just keep in mind this is Vintage. It's not. This isn't Pauper. 4 Witching Wells just kind of it helps dig to your combo pieces. It's card advantage. It's a little dorky artifact. And 4 Thoughtcasts as a payoff for having so many artifacts in play, including our Mistfall Bridges. Sideboard, pretty simple. Maybe a little too simple. Maybe it should be split out some. But Echoing Truth, it's a good catch-all. You can catch your opponent's Grave Hate. You can stop some aggressive creatures, things like that. Murder Retriever, it's a nice little value piece. You can sometimes chump block, get some extra value off of your graveyard there. And it also sacks pretty nicely to a Thopter Foundry. Spyglass, for graveyard hate type things, or just opposing Thopter Swords. And Invasive Surgery, I think this is mostly there for the Cascade matchups, because those of you that don't know, 2 of what I think are the top decks are Cascade Rhinos, very similar to the modern list. You cast a Shardless Agent, and it cascades into a Crashing Footfalls. You get some Rhinos. And there's also a similar deck that plays Glimpse of Tomorrow. It's a little bit more of a combo deck in the fact that it can kill you in 1 turn, but this is also good against the Cascade spells there. So that's really the deck. I'm very curious to see how these 2 decks face off. They're both artifact decks. They're both playing some tapped bridges, which is really cool to see. But they're also very, very different decks. One's very aggressive leaning and not a combo, and the other one is very slow, grindy, and has a pretty powerful combo. So we're going to step into the matches and see how it plays out. Let me know in the comments which deck you think was favored going into this match, alright? Alright. A little Ensoul Artifact versus Thopter Sword.
The 2 artifact decks of the format, pretty much.
Yeah, and I would say probably kind of your favorite too.
Very much so.
I would say, I know you like to flirt with your graveyard garbage, but but as a general rule, when I think Andrew, I think the artifact decks.
Yeah, and I am a graveyard deck. I'm playing Lurrus as a companion.
Yes.
Because you can do that in this format.
Dude, anything's allowed in this format as long as it's $2.
Right. Well, you are playing a $10 card in your deck, so...
That's insane. That's really insane. I mean, it used to be cheaper, right? It spiked because of Tivit.
Yeah, it was Tivit, and then also the Asmo food decks in Modern kind of got fairly big.
For the viewers who are just tuning in, I'm playing Blue-Black Thopter Sword as the deck Andrew put together. It's playing Tribute Mages to tutor, and it's got a time sieve. So 1 time sieve eats up a ton of the budget, but it also makes you win.
Win very easily around a lot of different parts.
Yeah. Yeah, we played 1 game off camera. I got there on Thopter Sword, but it was close, and I don't know if that's going to happen often. High roll for first?
High roll for first.
9. Respectable.
Less than 9.
Alrighty.
I'll be on the play.
Good luck, man.
You too.
Gosh, I love this format.
This is probably not good enough. I'll mulligan.
I'm going to keep this one.
I had a bunch of white cards in hand and no white mana.
You're just a Springleaf Drum away from success.
Right. I even had the Ornithopter.
So Springleaf Drum is just fixed Mox Opal, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see what the non-Lurrus version of that deck looks like. Playing like that 9-drop Sphinx from Modern Horizons.
The Cascade one, and then also just the draw 2 cards one.
Yeah.
This does not have enough lands now. Go 5.
Unfortunate. Yeah, and I guess since we're simulating tournament gameplay, we just maul to where we maul.
Yeah.
So normally we would just kind of say maul to 6 when we're testing, but
not really doing that when we're doing an actual best of.
Yeah, we're kind of like testing at Comp REL. We need to get a judge. Someone to sit in here. Alright, good luck on the 5.
Alright, it already looks better.
Alright, when your first 4 cards look better than your 7 card hand.
Let's do that. Alright, ready?
Yep.
Let's play a tapped bridge and pass.
I'll draw a magic card. Our good friend the Witching Well.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and scry too. I'm going to top them both, which is a powerful feeling.
That's a really scary.
Go ahead. The classic don't mulligan and then scry 2 top.
Alright. Let's cast an Ingenious Smith.
You've got an Ingenious Smith.
That's kind of unfortunate. I will take a Ghost Fireblade.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Draw a card is scried. Play Swamp and Thopter Foundry.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Alright. Let's go. Darksteel Citadel trigger.
Yeah.
No mana up. Let's cast a Stone Coil Serpent for 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Go to combat, swing for 2.
I'm at 18.
Go ahead.
Island. hand sword.
It's just rude.
The natural sword in game 1 on camera.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
All right. Let's play a Ginger Brute.
Good on Brute.
Trigger.
Yep.
Ghost Fireblade.
Gotta think about that for a second. 1 left in hand.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's weird because like you'd think that I'm invincible here, but you have a trample creature and an unblockable creature. So I'm gonna actually rebuke it, tapping 2 artifacts.
It is gone.
I think that just is too much unblockable damage.
I'll go to combat.
Yeah.
I'll swing for 7.
That's a lot of damage, man.
Go ahead.
I guess it's a good thing I had natural Thopter Sword, because otherwise this game looks really difficult. I don't know if I do anything other than do what I do. I think we just do it. So I'm going to pay a black, sack Sword of the Meek to Thopter Foundry. Puts a Thopter Foundry trigger on the stack, which is going to go ahead and resolve. Give me 1 life and a Thopter. It's going to trigger Sword of the Meek. Sword of the Meek comes back, and that's the magic trick. I'm going to do it 1 more time, shortcutting to just gain a life and put a Thopter into play. And I guess I feel like that's enough for some reason. Go ahead.
Alright.
The fact that this buffs power and toughness is weirdly relevant.
I will cast a Ghost Fireblade.
Good on this one, yeah.
Alright. Trigger.
Yep.
I will equip it to the Stone Coil.
Yeah, it's +2/+2, right?
Correct, yep. I'll go to combat.
Yep.
5 and 9.
Not sending with a Ginger Root?
Nope.
So that means you don't want to spend 1 mana to make it unblockable, which means you have something to do with your mana in your hand. I don't know if you mainboard your dispatches. That's a 5/5.
It is a 5/5.
With 2, 3, 4, 5 power. Well, I'm gonna make 2 Thopters.
Mm-hmm.
Shortcutting, so now 1 becomes 3. I gain 2 life. I've got 2 and 3 is 5 power. I'm gonna put all the Thopters on the Stone Coil.
Yeah, they will trade except for one of the Thopters.
Yeah. You can choose the one that has the sword on it or not. Is that no? That's not right. This is 3 toughness, so
yeah,
so
it's just 3 of them.
And I take 4.
You take 4.
Yep.
I will put Luris into my hand.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Go ahead.
And the Stone Coil comes back, but it's a little bigger.
I think it's a little too late at that point, though.
I think you might be right. I'm gonna opt. I'll scry 1, draw 1.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom. I kind of just wanted to find a land, yeah. I'm gonna get in for 2.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Draw. I'll cast a Ginger Brute.
Good on the Brute.
I will equip the Ginger Brute with the Ghost Fireblade.
Yeah.
I will make both Ginger Brute... Oh, sorry, trigger here.
Yep, you're good.
I will make both Ginger Brutes unblockable.
Okay.
So we're in the same position as last time. 4, 5. Yeah, might as well. Swing for 5. 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, so I'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
Gain a life. This goes over here. I'll move to blocks.
Mm-hmm.
I'll block there.
Yep.
Take 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll make 3 more Thopters.
Yep.
4 total. I'll untap with my guys.
1 is equipped, by the way.
That's a fair point. Thank you. Actually, does kind of matter, doesn't it? I'll draw for the turn. See, I feel like I want to make land drops just forever.
It's usually pretty good there. Especially when you're in
Ichor or Wellspring?
Yeah.
Or find time save. Bridge.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to get in for 5.
Alrighty, 13.
Go ahead. I think this is right, because I think I can outgain the life of the current Ginger Brutes and chump the Ingenious Smith every turn.
Black Staff of Waterdeep.
It's scary. Oh god, that's really scary. I guess I will try. Sack this to make a Thopter.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a Thopter. Gain a life, draw card.
Mm-hmm.
You are good to have the Black Staff of Waterdeep.
Okay. I will activate it targeting Gingerbrute.
Sheesh. Yeah.
I will make both Gingerbrutes unblockable.
Yes, he's a base 4 plus 2.
Yep, so 6, 7.
Actually,
let's go with another 5.
yeah, I'm gonna block.
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Make 2 more guys.
Mm-hmm.
I have 5 unequipped guys. That's really close, but I feel like I still am getting there, which is nice. Yeah, if it works, don't mess with it. 7. Go ahead.
Planes. Oh, sorry. I'm keeping
Oh,
this
yeah.
tab.
Sure, that's fine.
Cast Loris.
Yeah, you get a Luris.
Alright. Cast Ghost Fireblade.
Yep, you're going to Ghost Fireblade.
Trigger.
Yep.
I will equip here.
Yep.
I will make him unblockable.
Yeah, so he's 8.
Yep. Attack for 8.
Yep. All
Oh, actually, I just die on the backswing.
Sure. Yep. Okay. That's tight.
Yeah, so I very much just misplayed by letting you counter the first Ghost Fireblade.
Oh, really?
Because I could have just played it instead of the Gingerbrute first, and then I had 3 mana up to pay.
Oh, yeah.
And then
it's like the higher priority thing, so that makes sense. Yeah. It's really scary that there's a chance for me to get on Thopter Sword and then like not stabilize for some reason because like blocking is hard sometimes.
Yeah.
You can also just like Ensoul up Stonecoil Serpent or something. I don't actually know what my board looks like for you. Echoing Truth is non-land. That's really difficult. I guess I can make you pick up an Ensoul artifact, but I kind of don't want to do that. Obvious cuts.
I have. So I'm going to cut you guys.
I love this deck because the 4 Nihil Spellbombs just feel like they're good cards.
They're just in the main board easily.
Yeah, they're just artifacts, they're cantrips, they're actively good with Thopter Foundry. I think I'm going to no changes it.
I'm going 8 in, 8 out.
I'm going to lose 2 games. Oh, no. Alright, 8 sideboard cards.
It was more of 8 cards in the main board aren't great against you.
Makes sense.
So,
I guess you have some like glass caskets or dispatches or something.
yeah, it was. I'll be honest, it was the 4 glass caskets and the 4 patchworks also came out as just being a little too slow and too easily chumped.
That makes sense, yeah, because a lot of your threats are really kind of impossible to chump block. Gingerbrute, the snake.
Ornithopter, Stonecoil, yeah. Like, I'm leaving the Ingenious Smiths in just because they get bigger and also do other stuff.
Yeah, because you get advantage off them. Also, it's like it probably makes some of your hands a little more keepable sometimes. Sort of.
The test game that we did, I kept one land, Ornithopter, Springleaf Drum, Ingenious Smith, and the Ingenious Smith got me an artifact land, and that's what I was planning on.
Yeah, it's just a cantrip for land. That's amazing.
Because I just have 12 artifact lands in the deck.
You said you're pretty medium on Stonecoil Serpent generally, right?
Ish. It works extremely well against stuff like blockers.
Yeah.
It's just like Patchwork is. I mean, protection from multicolored is nice, but also at the same time, it doesn't stop most of what you really need to stop.
I remember it was weirdly good against me a couple times. I think when I was playing Fires of Invention.
Yeah.
I guess it's good against the Tension Sphere in some capacity. I assume you're on the play.
I am on the play.
All right, so I just need to have another opening hand with Thopter Sword, which barely got there, truthfully.
It's kind of slow, but I'll keep it.
I don't think I mulligan this. I'm going to try it. I'm not entirely sure. This hand could be ass.
All right, let's go.
How many squares do we get on YouTube?
Dark. Springleaf Drum.
Yeah.
Pass.
Draw. Tap land, go ahead.
This feels kind of bad.
I love to hear that because I'm looking at my hand and I'm like, this hand doesn't do anything, and you make a 5/5 on turn 2 sometimes.
Oh god, this feels so bad.
I love to hear it. Keeps that. That's good.
I'm going to Ensoul Artifact my Springleaf Drum.
That seems really good for killing me, but bad for your...
I'll get it in for 5. Go ahead.
I might be dead. I truly could be dead.
I mean, that's the goal.
Ichor Wellspring, I would like to draw.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead. And maybe I just shouldn't keep hands that clearly lose to a turn 2 thing?
Ghostfire?
Yeah.
Equip the Ghostfire.
Yeah, it's going to be 7.
Attack for 7.
Okay, well, it doesn't really change the clock.
Go ahead. It does not.
It's not a chump blocker. It's so funny.
This hand quite possibly is the stupidest thing I've ever kept.
It's working.
Turns out a 5/5 kills fairly quickly.
Ichor Wellspring. See, I just don't have time for those. Should those be sideboarded out for Echoing Truth?
Maybe.
Seems how I just
really
drew.
good,
I just drew a fresh new Ichor Wellspring. Nihil Spellbomb, don't kill me.
Alright. Let's try.
You ever think about mainboarding Aether Spellbombs?
So in the original version, it was 2 Nihils and 2 Aether Spellbombs, and then I just realized that I would rather try to trade off creatures and life until I can find a win.
And this kind of protects you from like unfair fast things. That makes sense.
I'll do 7.
I love taking 7 damage right now.
Go ahead.
Maybe you're dead.
That's very possible.
I guess let me sequence a little bit better.
Yeah.
I can actually do that in competitive REL, which is insane. Ichor Wellspring?
You got an Ichor Wellspring.
No, I've got 3 Ichor Wellsprings.
Yeah, you got 3 Ichor Wellsprings. It's fine.
Time Sieve? No!
I will rebuke it tapping Ghostfire to improvise.
Yeah, we'll go to game 3.
Alright.
Ugh. I don't even know if like that hadn't been interacted with if I would win. You know, because...
Yeah, I mean, you draw 3 cards off of it.
Yeah, I was going to sack one of my... So I was going to have to choose between
yeah.
a land or the Time Sieve. There's a chance I'm just supposed to like let the Time Sieve go. Okay, so maybe I'm going to trim a couple Ichor Wellsprings.
I don't hate that.
Like immediately 2 Wellspring out for 2 Echoing Truth. I can trim a Wellspring and I actually want Nihil Spellbombs against you.
I think I might bring Patchwork back in.
I love this format.
Same.
I just can't believe how good 4 main board Nihil Spellbombs is.
It's very good.
Like, I think we're going to talk about this a lot, so viewers, listen up. But man, I'm just not sure I want to play a Graveyard Reliant deck when I feel like Graveyard decks are good enough that it makes Nihil Spellbomb good, and Nihil Spellbomb is just great.
Very good.
Because Graveyard decks are good. And I think that anyone can just put 4 Ravenous Traps and 4 Tormod Scripts in their sideboard.
Pretty easily, yeah.
And then you're like invalidating an entire archetype of decks. I mean, there's such a thing as overboarding, but like, come on.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm going to be on the play here, and I'm going to keep a hand that isn't just 100 Ichor Wellsprings.
Oh, yeah. So my hand was the Springleaf Drum, 2 lands, and then 2 Ingenious Smiths. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get there eventually.
Oh.
And then I was just essentially Ensoul the Springleaf Drum and try to kill you.
Okay, so you were kind of relying on the Ingenious Smiths to get you where you needed to go. But then you kind of just committed to the have 1 5/5 plan, right?
Yeah. Yeah, once I drew the Ghostfire Blade and no other way to activate Springleaf Drum for white mana, it was kind of just, let's hope this can win.
Insane. Yeah, because I felt like, well, I guess I got rebuked too, but yeah, the time save plan seemed real. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it felt like it might be good for me.
I'm on the draw? Oh, this is so close.
There's 4 Foundry, 2 Sword.
Yes. Oh, this is really hard. I don't think I should keep it, though.
I'm going to keep this. I'm not really sure about it, but I feel like this hand could be anything.
My hand was 3 non-artifact lands, Ensoul Artifact, Machiko's Reign of Truth, and 2 sideboard cards that you haven't seen yet. That are non-artifacts, though. So I had no way of putting Ensoul on anything, and Machiko's couldn't actually target anything, so...
Makes sense. Machiko's Reign of Truth is such a terrifying card in that deck.
Yeah.
I remember playtesting, and you did it once, and you hit me for 1,000,000 damage. Then I just didn't read it, and it happened again the next turn.
And it was repeated the next turn, yeah.
Like, the second chapter, I was like, it has to be something dumb, like gain 2 life.
I mean, most of those cards are pretty dumb in that way, but...
It can't be like an insane pump spell, and then a gigantic creature.
I'll keep this.
Alrighty.
I think I maybe don't put you on the bottom. Yeah, I'll put you on the bottom. Alright, ready.
Alrighty. Island, our good friend the well. I'll scry you and you're good to go.
Alright. Let's see here. Get my hand in order. I'm supposed to want. Let's go. Island?
Top one. Bottom one.
Okay. Springleaf Drum.
Yeah.
Thopter?
Sure.
Stone Coil for 1.
That's acceptable.
Go ahead.
Island, go ahead.
Draw. Darksteel Citadel.
Yep.
Black Staff of Waterdeep.
That's absolutely not for me, sir.
Alright, that's fine.
That card disgusts me. Okay.
Ensoul?
I'm in jail.
6. Well, hope you're good at video editing.
We'll see. Probably not, but I'll learn.
Go ahead.
Gosh, that's terrifying. 2, must answer threats. I'll opt.
Uh-huh.
Draw. I'm bad at this game. I'm actually not going to play this land right now. I'm going to fire off another opt.
Yep.
I think I made some mistakes this game, perhaps.
I do like hearing that.
Islands, go ahead. Yeah, something's going to have to change for me to get out of this.
Draw. Ancient Den.
Yeah.
I will attack for another 6.
Yeah.
Bring Lurs to hand.
Okay.
Go.
See, that almost seems like it's acceptable, but it's really not super acceptable. Yeah, wow, I think I sequenced this really poorly. I got myself into a gnarly kind of situation. I think I may have just cantripped badly. I kind of don't have... I'll Tribute Mage.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of meek. Go ahead.
Let's play that. Go to combat.
Yeah.
Swing for 6.
Good to take 6 going to 2.
I will pass the turn.
Oh, it's so scary. Mr. Metallic Rebuke. Yeah, there's no way I don't just die. Yeah, you got it, man. You get the match.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think having the Ensoul plus Blackstaff on 2 was really hard. I felt pretty safe with 1 Metallic Rebuke because I thought I would have time to kind of cantrip and sort my hand out, which I think I didn't do super well because I got myself onto mono islands by mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I kept a 1-lander with Witching Well, double opt, so I was like, well, this will be anything.
Mm-hmm.
I scried 2 islands on top with Witching Well. I saw 2 islands. I put 1 on top, 1 on bottom. And then I started drawing Pentad Prisms with no black source.
Got it. Yep.
And I had a thought. It was ugly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, good games though.
Yep. Very good. So, do we want to de-sideboard and talk about sideboarded stuff?
Yeah, I didn't do too much. I just brought in the 2 Echoing Truths because I felt like I had to interact a little bit more. And the Infinite Ichor Wellspring plan was not looking so good for me.
Makes sense.
What were you up to? I know you brought in your rebukes.
Yep, so I brought in 4 rebukes and then 3 blacksmith skills and 1 Nihil spellbound.
Oy.
And then, brought out the glass caskets because they don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the patchworks for just being a little slow and chunkable.
I wonder if this deck, Thopter Sword, is interested in any number of annuls on the sideboard. Mostly to catch graveyard hate, actually.
Yeah.
But it would just happen to blast your permanent type.
Yeah. Yeah, annuls, and I think the Aether Spellbombs probably could go back in there instead of maybe the the Echoing Truths or maybe the
You
Retrievers.
you thought Mer Retrievers were kind of mid, right?
Yeah, they're just nice because they get caught by Tribute Mage along with the Sorcerer Spyglass, and they're also just there to like be a little extra help if you're playing a counterspell matchup to get like the Time Sieve back or a Thopter Foundry back.
That does make sense. And I guess you sack them to Foundry.
Yeah, that's another thing of how why I've constructed the deck as is. So like not playing Thoughtcast, not playing like a lot of instant speed stuff is because I want a critical mass of artifacts doing that, so that if someone does play like a Nihil Spellbomb and they try to get you with the sword in the graveyard, you can always just have another artifact to sack to re-bring the sword back.
That makes sense. I know I've seen that come up a lot with like empty Pentad prisms that are just sitting there.
Yep.
It can kind of insulate you there. So
yep.
Cool. Well, good games. Congrats on the win for that deck. I like to see it moving further into the bracket.
Yeah.
We may have to revisit this deck with a better pilot because I do think this might be the best deck.
I think it's very, very strong. I don't really know because this kind of deck, as I've seen, because the one tournament that I've played this in, I just lost to mono red prowess. Like I was just not fast enough and wasn't able to stabilize quickly enough, and that's just kind of what happened here. Is when you're dealing with 5+ life a turn, like you don't have a lot of room to really
dirtle with tribute mages.
Yeah.
3 mana 2/2s don't look so appealing.
But that deck will absolutely beat up on all of the mid-rangey black discard decks just because so many things replace themselves and there are so many redundant combo pieces and tutors and stuff. So but yeah,
cool games. I'm excited to get this through editing and get the first video out there.
Sweet. Great games.